Hi, this is Lisa. I'm at the skate park and I'm going to be drawing some cherries today. So I wanted to share with you some of my process for my patrons because I know that you want to have some value out of this. So I'm going to work in my tier levels to my workflow as much as I can. So what I've done here is just gone to my wrench, inserted a photo, and now I'm gonna be doing some drawing. So I can choose colors to work from. I have it set so I can just hold on the screen with my finger or hold down on this square and use my pencil or my finger. Should activate it. And leave that on a separate layer. Then I'm gonna start my working. It's on the other side. I'm going to use, let's see, for the cherries. Maybe I'll use her pencils. Lisa Bardot's pencils are really cool. I like her pencil pack. I really like her gouache pack, is nice for painting. She's got a mid-century. I'm trying to think of what colors I want to use. I'm just gonna start using her gouache, and I'm gonna use the thick brush just to lay down the first color, and I'm gonna get like not the darkest color but like the medium tone, and then I'm just gonna start drawing my cherries. I'm gonna put them each on a different layer. That'll come in handy later. This one's slightly bigger. This one's a little bit behind, so it's gonna be slightly smaller, and this one's in front again, so it's a little bit bigger too. So this one, all I really need to do is shrink it down. That was the first one I drew. Just gonna shrink it down, squish it flat a little bit. And when you do resize things, you might lose a little bit of the quality, but I think Procreate updated so you don't really lose that much quality. All right, so now that I have a base coat down, I'm gonna go in and fill in some background. And I'm gonna do that underneath everything. And I'm going to use, since it's a little blurry, I'm not gonna draw the cherries, I don't think. And I might zoom in on these, so I'm gonna crop this real quick. It's real easy to crop things. Boom. And then try to make it a square. Boom. So now that's cropped. Okay, so kind of easier to work from. Fun people at the park. They don't have to perfectly be in place. Let's see. This one I'm gonna move to be right there. Make that look more cherry-like. Okay. So now, back to the background. Just gonna go ahead and grab like a medium green and then start just kind of, that's the big leaf back there, which I can kind of let that one be a separate layer. And then a little bit of a lighter green for back over here. plopping down some colors right now. And you'll see this awesome trick happen. Let's see, let's do some darks. And then I'm just gonna take that layer and give it a Gaussian blur. Just kind of pushes it all back. We need some more darks here. And then you can also do that a couple times, and it just kind of gives you more details popping out. Okay, so the star of the show is the leaf and the cherries. They're gonna steal the show. So what I'm gonna do first is give these cherries some texture. I'm just gonna go ahead and add a layer above them and create a clipping mask just by tapping the layer and tapping clipping mask. And then I wanna choose kind of like that splotchy texture. So that makes me think of Abby's watercolor brushes. She has a bunch. She has some splotchy ones for watercolor texture. Let's see. I like the watercolor texture adder, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick the darkest color over here. And I'm right above this guy, so I can start kind of splotching that in. See how it's dark right around the sides? And then I'm gonna come back with this color. Nothing like whining kids to get your day going. Yay! So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to the gouache brushes. And back to that thick brush. Just splotching some color in. That cherry color going. There's all sorts of colors in there you can pick out. And now I can make that a Gaussian blur. See how it doesn't affect the edge of the cherry? If I were to take that clipping mask off, you could see that I'm coloring all around. I also like to use the airbrush. If I come in with a really dark color and get right around the edge. And then, let's see, go back to those gouache brushes. I need to organize these a little bit better. Maybe I'll use a pencil. I can show you that you can really do this with anything. This is kind of nice. All right, and then I can come in. Am I working in that same layer? Yeah, that's fine. And then you notice here there's a little highlight. You zoom in. This is a little highlight here that's reflecting light from below it. And it's green because it's also reflecting the leaves. So you can add that in. And some more reds. And some more darks. Dark right here because of the shadow from that one. Blur it out. See how it's dark here and I have it so light right there, so I can kind of add some more darks in just right here. I'm gonna blur it. I could probably put some more darks in. I'm gonna make another layer and do a clipping mask for my highlighting. And then I can just switch over to white. Or I can grab the white that's here because it's probably got a pink hue to it. And then you can just kind of come in. Put some highlighting there. Looked up from my canvas. Got away with me. Okay. And then give that a blur. And then it's got some harsher parts. So you're just looking at the shape of the highlight at this point. You're not trying to even focus on the cherry. So while I draw, I don't think cherry, making a realistic cherry. I think shape, I think location, I think size, I think relationship. So I'm gonna use the soft airbrush to kind of erase away any parts that got away from me. Blend it in. And since it's on its own separate layer, I'm not erasing any parts of the cherry at all. Just looking at all the little subtle shapes inside of there. And it's kind of toothy, right? So I can add some texture on top. So I'm gonna make another clipping mask layer. And in the gouache brush set, there's these textures. I really like the super dry texture. I'm just gonna lower the opacity a little bit, and I'm on a separate layer, so if I mess up, I can always change it. And then I wanna make it a little bit bigger. Give it some splotches, and maybe some darker splotches. And don't like all those splotches. So I'm lightly going over it with an eraser. Or I could lower the opacity. And give it a little blur. Just make it look like it's on the cherry. I like that green highlight going on. Looks nice, see? Okay. So now, see the stem is coming from right there, so it dips down a little bit behind here. I can go refine my shape. This is what I love about clipping masks, is it refines the whole thing. So if I were to erase, oops, that's not the eraser. If I were to go in here and erase this, it erases all those layers. It just doesn't erase them, it doesn't let them show through. So I can refine the shape a little bit and blur out my edges because it's not that sharp. Come on, eraser. Next time I need to bring my clip on. Oh no, I can't do that with this phone. I need to record with a clip-on mic, but I have to get an attachment. Oh, I have an attachment. That would work. So I could have added a Gaussian blur, but I also want to refine the edges. Then, let's say I don't like those edges. I can go in and grab this color again and maybe I want to use the airbrush to color in, so I can just tap and hold on my pen tool and it'll switch me back to that airbrush since I was in this tool. It's pretty cool. So let's get that on the screen so I can see it. It's kind of off. Got a little wonky shape. Makes it look more natural. Let's say I want a harsher edge, I can just switch to my hard airbrush. I definitely like to have that on. Where's that? In the preferences, you can go to brush cursor. See, it shows you where the brush cursor is. If you have that on, so I can see right where I'm going. And let's say, I'm pressing kind of hard so I can get a good erase on that. And it still dips down right there a little bit, so I'm gonna start erasing this part of the cherry. And I can move that. Kind of squish it a little bit, maybe. Oh, here, you can warp it. There. The edge is kind of jagged still. Okay, almost done with that one cherry. I do see all these kind of pretty splotches underneath there, so I'm gonna go between the highlight and the shading layer and add some highlighted splotchy areas. I'm just using the airbrush.
Is this energy?
Yeah, it's energy. How's it going?
Good. I only use this sound in the video.
You're gonna burp?
No.
Don't burp.
Subscribe to Luke Scoot and Lisa Long Designs.
I don't really have a YouTube channel. Now I'm just going around the edges. I mean, I have a YouTube channel, I just don't use it. With a darker color, just to kind of refine the edge shapes. The dark colors recede back in space and the light colors come out at you. So to push something back in space, you just give it a darker color. And then it's kind of like my low light layer now, my shading layer. I kind of add a bunch of layers and then I'll squish them all together. And then I want to have some highlights right at the bottom. So I'm gonna make another layer right above that one and start grabbing in that highlighted green. Come on. Let's I'm just gonna use my finger. Just can't see. Okay. There we go. I'm gonna lower the opacity. Ooh, that's looking so good. So I'm just looking back and forth trying to match it. And then I see this kind of shadowy layer there. Sorry, I bumped the camera with my head. So I'm just gonna layer that on top. And then my splotches are standing out too much, so I'm gonna go ahead and lower the opacity and maybe even put some more with like a pink color. And that was in the gouache brushes, remember? I need to make a little collection of all the brushes I'm using for this. A little bit bigger. Nope. I'm just gonna go ahead and make a new layer that's a clipping mask so I can mess with it separately and then join it. Give it a little bit of a blur. Okay, so you see how they're not exactly the same, but it's the same idea and just not perfectly the same, but if you match it up close enough, you're gonna get something that's realistic. I even see a little bit of a highlight right here. You know what I'm gonna do? Just set up my brush menu so I can flip back and forth between all of these. That's not the right color. I'm gonna grab, ooh, yeah, that's nice. Okay, so that's one cherry. Looks pretty good. Hope you enjoyed that little tutorial. Hopefully it helped some. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up off camera and post the results, and then, you know, hopefully I can make more of these and a little bit better when I'm not at the skate park. I just figured I'd throw it in today so that you guys can see what it is I'm trying to offer for my patrons. All right, toodaloo.